All right, today we're going to talk about the role of mutants in the balance between good and bad. Like many other aspects, it's an opportunity to talk about how utopian desires and dystopian realities exist in society, even the fictional ones.
Okay, mutant powers. In X-Men: The Last Stand, we get a glimpse of the ethical concerns that Charles Xavier has when he's teaching his mutant ethics class. The professor says, and I quote, "When an individual receives great power, the use or misuse of that power is everything. Will it be for the greater good, or will it be used for personal or destructive ends? When is it acceptable to use our power, and when do we cross that invisible line that turns us into tyrants over our fellow man?"
Okay, so my first thought was, with great power comes great responsibility. But the beauty of this quote is that that's not actually what he's saying. He does imply that mutants have the opportunity to take action for the greater good, but he also defines the chance for them to do things that he thinks are bad. For Xavier, bad is using a mutant power for something that is founded in completely personal ends, or for the purpose of being destructive. Let's pause. X-Men is largely about action. Yes, there's a lot of plot-based intricacies that warrant exploration. You know, that's why we're talking to you about it. But as a movie, it's action. People go to see the fighting and the cool powers and all these fun things. And even if they go and see it just because, that's what they're going to get from it, is that it's an action movie. And in it, we see that the X-Men are destructive. Maybe not as obviously as Magneto, who, just likes to move bridges or, sports stadiums around cities, whatever. But X-Men do fight. They do destroy property. They kill people. And that's fine, right? It's super chill because it's all in the name of a greater good. If that's their standard, they've already crossed that invisible line. They're assuming that they are in the right, that being destructive to fight for and maintain a world in which mutants and humans live in harmony is okay. That's utopian thinking. It's harmony, it's peace and equality, and if we have to use a little force to get there, that's okay.
True, but the mutants in the Brotherhood are incredibly more destructive. Except for the most recent movies in which the two sides have yet to be fully developed, as we can see in the first 3 X-Men movies, the X-Men are generally fighting to prevent others from destroying society. Those others are the Brotherhood. As we've said before, Magneto wants a world where mutants reign superior, and he is willing to sacrifice anyone for the cause, be it humans or mutants. That sort of butchery is what Professor X is talking about. Eric wants personal power, which plausibly stems from his incarceration in the concentration camps. As a child, when he was without power, now he wants it back by any means necessary, sometimes seeming to favor more destructive methods. Those utopian themes you talked about, of wanting a perfect place and using force to get there, Magneto takes them to the extreme.
It's true he's more extreme. We mentioned moving the entire sports stadium. But I don't think that he likes that he has to be so extreme. If we look at Eric in the most recent movie, we see that he and Charles Xavier have regrouped together. His destructive effort is to prevent what we see in the beginning of X-Men Days of Future Past, a completely destroyed world created by humanity. I'm not condoning his destruction in any of the movies in which he uses force to try and create a utopia, but you said maybe that utopia is about power. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's about fear. As you alluded to, he was in Nazi Germany. He knows fear. So maybe that's the reasoning for his utopia. It's not that he needs power. It's that he needs to never have to feel fear again from humanity. But does that matter? Regardless of his reasonings or intentions, he is being destructive. And Xavier would call that a bad use of his mutant abilities, despite the fact that Eric is acting towards what he perceives to be a greater good.
So the moral of the story is that no greater good, aka utopia, can be supported with any means of force without slipping into being a dystopia. But isn't that a prime component of a utopia? That there are sacrifices made in the present, travesties done in the present, so that someday there can be a perfect future.
That's true. And the role any mutant plays in that is towards that perfect future or in the present is always waving around that invisible line of when you become a tyrant and when you will be doing for the things for the right good. Is what they're doing at any moment pushing them toward those negative actions? Or can they just pretend to hide in the safety of the subjective greater good? In fact, if we look at society today and our relationships with others and how we act in society, can't we say the same things about ourselves? We waver in the face of force and imperfection.
Maybe. Or maybe most of us aren't wavering. We like hiding in the greater good that is our society. And we'll stay there until something jolts us out of it. The X-Men universe might be that jolt.
Okay, yes, I agree with what you're saying. All of us filming here, doing this critique, we're following that prescribed path of humanity right now. We're in college, going towards a career, living, that planned life, and we often forget to question that. But, and this is my last comment, maybe, as you say, the X-Men universe is trying to jolt us out of that sort of acceptance of the way we're doing life, but maybe it's just adding to that. At the end of every movie, there is a happy ending with balance between humans and mutants. X-Men always win. The greater good always prevails. It's just forcing us back into, oh yeah, the greater good, we like it, it's fine.
Until the next movie, of course.
Of course.
Well, we want to thank you for tuning in to check out our channel. Today we talked about how mutants and humans deal with the idea of the greater good, how we fight for it, how we ignore it, and is it really that perfect?
Thank you.
Thank you.